want you, Sora.
In this video, we're diving deep into the reviews from top critics to find out whether we're looking at a true masterpiece or just a sequel treading familiar ground. So grab your popcorn, get comfortable, because the video has only just begun. Before diving into Death Stranding 2, it's essential to revisit the legacy of its predecessor. Released in 2019, the original Death Stranding split opinions right down the middle. For some, it was a revolutionary, almost philosophical experience about connection and isolation. For others, a slow, pretentious, walking simulator. But regardless of perspective, one thing is certain. Hideo Kojima, the mind behind Metal Gear Solid, offered a singular vision that broke industry conventions and left a lasting impression. With that, expectations for the sequel skyrocketed. Would Death Stranding 2 redeem the skeptics or serve as the ultimate validation for the fans? And if numbers are any indication, the initial impact was powerful. On OpenCritic, Death Stranding 2 holds a strong average score of 92, with 96% of critics recommending the game. A promising start that suggests Kojima Productions once again captured the attention of the industry. But as we know, numbers only tell part of the story. Let's take a closer look at the voices behind these reviews. We begin with GameSpot's Diego Nicolas Arguello, who gave the game a 7 out of 10. While slightly below the general average, the score comes with important criticism. According to Arguello, Death Stranding 2 is too deeply rooted in the past. He argues that while the core gameplay planning and delivering packages remains effective, the lack of novelty weakens the sequel's impact. The game relies heavily on already explored concepts and doubles down on some of the first title's most criticized elements. Additionally, Arguello notes that the new cast lacks the same charisma, and the game's increased focus on weapons may undermine the pacifist spirit that defined the original. In short, in trying to broaden its appeal, the game may have diluted its identity. This raises an important question. What do we expect from a sequel? A radical revolution, or a refined version of what already worked? For Arguello, the lack of boldness turns the game into something good but not memorable. A clear reminder that sometimes innovation matters just as much as technical polish. Default text next up, Tough Cub from TheSixthAxis, who awarded a more generous 8 out of 10. He praises the gameplay, but the repetition stands out. Tough Cub notes that the game almost surpasses the first Death Stranding, despite repeating large parts of it nearly scene for scene. The point is clear, the gameplay loop still works. Route planning, cargo management, traversing difficult terrain. However, the lack of freshness weighs it down. For those hoping for reinvention or a bold new approach, the heavy similarities may be disappointing. It seems Kojima chose to perfect what already existed rather than risk charting a new path. Eurogamer takes a qualitative approach and doesn't assign a numerical score. They describe Death Stranding 2 as a more hectic, louder, and emotionally radiant experience. The review notes that Kojima doubles down on the metaphysical weirdness of his narrative, while surprisingly emphasizing more traditional gameplay elements like stealth and action, reminiscent of the Metal Gear series. This blend of surreal and tactical makes the game more accessible and dynamic. However, the review also warns that in trying to appeal to a broader audience, part of the original's philosophy was left behind. The radically slow and non-violent design ethos gives way to more guided, fast-paced moments. Even so, the final verdict remains positive. Different, yes, but still beautifully strange by des ABEA standards. Now we move to one of the most enthusiastic reviews. Jason Faulkner from PlayStation Lifestyle gave the game a perfect 10. In his words, Death Stranding 2 doesn't try to reinvent, but to refine. It refines nearly every aspect of the original to deliver an excellent and polished experience, he says. Faulkner sees this focus on refinement as a strength. The visuals are even more stunning, the gameplay more fluid, and the overall experience more cohesive. For him, Kojima Productions took an already solid foundation and pushed it to its peak, proving that evolution doesn't always require radical change. It can also mean mastering what already works. IGN praised Death Stranding 2 with a solid 9 out of 10, stating that the sequel greatly improves on everything Kojima Productions got right the first time, while adding new mechanics and layers that elevate the overall experience. Rather than reinventing the formula, the game enriches it with smarter systems and deeper narrative pacing. The review describes it as incredibly thrilling, original, and unafraid to be weird, highlighting elements like coffin-shaped hoverboards and guided missiles as examples of Kojima's creative boldness. According to IGN, Death Stranding 2 doesn't just expand the world, it amplifies its soul, delivering a sequel that is more confident, more cohesive, and ultimately more rewarding for those who resonate with Kojima's vision. Finally, we turn to Joe Richards from PlayStation Universe, who scored the game at 9.5. He describes it as a triumph in what it sets out to achieve. Richards emphasizes that this isn't a game trying to convert skeptics, but a bold step towards something greater. In his view, Death Stranding 2 is clear proof that Kojima remains the industry titan he's often celebrated as. The experience left him truly speechless, and he believes many players will feel the same. This isn't a game that simply meets expectations, it redefines them. After diving into the leading reviews, let's return to our initial question: is Death Stranding 2 on the beach worth playing? Despite differing opinions, the answer is yes. With an open critic average of 92 and 96% recommendation rate, it's clear this game earned critical respect. For fans of the original and those who appreciate Kojima's unique creative mind, this is a must-play experience. While some critics point to a lack of innovation or repeated ideas, the consensus is that the game delivers a meticulous refinement. Technically and narratively, it's sharper while preserving the atmosphere that made the original so memorable. If you're looking for a game that defies convention, stirs emotions, and invites reflection, Death Stranding 2. On the Beach is a solid pick, a title unafraid to be different, and that's exactly what makes it special. In summary, Death Stranding 2 doesn't reinvent its formula, it masterfully improves it. It's a work that continues to challenge and mesmerize, with a complex narrative, hypnotic visuals, and an atmosphere only Kojima could create. Most reviews point to a game that deserves to be experienced, especially by those seeking something out of the ordinary. Now I want to hear from you. Will you take on this journey through a desolate world? Or are you ready to leave the beach behind? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Your support helps us keep bringing you high-quality content. Thanks for watching, and until the next journey.
What's your role in all this? You're the commander, huh?
That's right. These days I'm fragile in name only. You brought America together, helped it be reborn as the UCA. But I'm afraid Death Stranding is far from over. Humanity is still in danger, still on the brink of extinction. Don't act like you don't see it. A lot of things changed after you went off on your own, especially within the UCA. Bridges no longer oversees the distribution network. They withdrew once things were up and running. So your friends and co-workers all went their separate ways. Within network coverage, there's no need to rely on human porters anymore. So after I closed up shop, I went and started a new group. One that handles work in regions outside the UCA. We decided to call ourselves Drawbridge.
With the support of the Chiral Network and APAS, humanity will be free from the need to move around. Bots are capable of handling deliveries.
He's alive.